Most of the wear and tear is from the fourth graders and second graders.
Recording in progress.
Jealous of to do that, that's cool.
They are, they're heavy gavel users.
It renews your, like, belief in humans.
What?
The kids.
Banging the gavel with school age kids.
No, just their questions and,
Yeah.
like.
All right, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Tonight is our quarterly town council work session. It's March 2nd, 2026, and we've got 4 items on our agenda for tonight. First one being a discussion of credit card processing fees.
Yeah, why don't you come up and just give us a brief overview of the discussion you had with the Finance Committee and what's being proposed.
So you had a couple council members that asked, about credit card fees, and so we talked about it in the Finance Committee of, we, depending on every card, everybody uses a different merchant fee, but on average we pay about 3%, and so we talked about, okay, what do we do? Right now, before last year, we kind of put a cap on $2,500. That's by permits. A lot of permits couldn't be paid by them. With some changes last year, we said, hey, we can take it over 25, but we're going to charge the 3% fee. And so that's kind of where this kind of started. And then our recommendation is to do the 3%. It'll take us some time to get with our processors and figure out what the best way is to handle that, if that's what the council would want to do. So that's kind of where this all came from.
Any thoughts from Finance Committee members?
I just do have a quick question, because Colorado revised statutes 25.5.12 caps the merchant fee at 2%. Like, so if you're a business, you can't do any more than 2% for credit cards, even though there's some that are violating it.
Yeah, that's the vendor fee.
Yeah, like it's 2%, the lesser of 2% or your real fee. Obviously, municipal governments are exempt from that rule, so they can set their own fee, but there is some language where you have to be very specific that you're only covering your fees, right? And that's why Boulder County is 2.3% for their credit card fee. So I just want us to be careful that, we've done the math and we know exactly what the fee is.
Well, yeah, and again, it changes every month.
Oh, no, yeah.
So that is, what was that statute?
Well, this one, it's 5-2-212. That's the one for the merchants, or for non-governmental.
Retail.
Yeah, I think it's the one that passed in 2023. But it's funny because a lot of people aren't even aware of it, and they just walk into a store like, oh, it's 4%. No, it's supposed to be 2.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
So,
I wasn't either, because I just paid it the Toyota dealership and it was 3 there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
Go ask for your 1% refund.
Yeah, exactly. But that's definitely something we can look into.
Yeah.
The council wants to do this and we can get things, because it's not going to be like we can turn on a switch and start it. So that was the other thing of, do you want us to try starting to look into it, or just wait and do it as part of the budget process and implement it in 2027?
I mean, personally, I'd prefer to do it sooner rather than later, so we're not continuing to lose money on it, since there's plenty of other things we need the money for. So rather than kicking the can on it, I realize obviously it's going to take some time, but it'd be nice to do prior to next year, since we're kind of early into this year.
I'm in the same boat. Do it sooner rather than later, but with plenty of advance notice. Like when Comcast rolled it out, they gave everyone like 5 months of notice, and somebody got $5 fees, and then it quickly changed. But
And that's where I was like, do we, since we're already, because knowing that we like to communicate, but yeah, we can definitely start looking into it and then bring something back to the council and say, when do we want to implement this? And if it turns out to be earlier than 1/1 of 27, great. If not, then we can do 1/1/27, whatever council wants to do.
a lot of people are on auto bill. Like I've been on auto bill for like the last 10 years, so I don't know where my bill goes. Just whatever communication you want to help to remind people that this is happening.
Correct, yeah. We will definitely have to put stuff out and put it in the, inserts for utility bills and stuff like that. And then that would be the other question is 3% across everything, correct? No carve outs or anything.
I mean, I think that's fine. It's good for consistency. 2 questions that I had. This is only going to be applying for credit cards, so not if somebody uses a debit card?
Correct. Debit cards is about, on average, about 50 cents.
Okay.
Depending, again, depending on what banks and everything, it's much cheaper than credit cards.
And do we have any understanding from like CML or any other organization about like whether or not we're an outlier in terms of not charging these fees currently? Do most municipalities and counties charge these credit card processing fees? I think it's good to be consistent with what, most municipalities are doing. If it's 50-50, that's a different story. But, if it's like 90% of municipalities do this and we're not, I think that makes it a much clearer decision.
I don't know that answer. I know a lot of the bigger ones still aren't, and meeting with Broomfield, Boulder, Adams County, and we talked about it, and Broomfield was not. I don't think Louisville is yet. I don't think Lafayette is yet, but I can definitely check into that and see what everybody else is doing, see if I can get.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, the state does. I mean, when I go to the
Yeah.
kiosk to get my tags for my plates.
Right.
They
It's just
charge me.
surprising.
Excel, Comcast, like
Yeah.
everybody, all the utilities, that's why I'm like, I agree with wanting to be consistent, but also I'm like, well, it's $120,000 of
That's just
taxpayer money that could go to like
Yeah.
everything else for people who are choosing to use the credit card because you don't
It's a
have to use a
choice.
credit card, so.
And just to let everybody know, it's 120, that wouldn't go in the general fund.
Right.
It's split around everything, and right now, the majority of that is water, sewer, and storm, because it's all utility.
Just means a lower rate hike in the future.
Right, yes,
We know the water
correct.
fund is not looking
Healthy.
good long-term.
Yeah.
Healthy, good way to describe that, yes.
I know Centennial and Parker do charge a fee. Centennial is kind of goofy. And as you get towards south of the metro area where water rates are substantially higher, this is a much bigger deal. With our rates being where they're at, and the average bill is $100, this is kind of small. There, the average water bill is like $300, $400, $500.
Right.
So.
And people have direct deposit or
Yeah.
withdrawal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to avoid the fee, you can by just,
ACH.
Set it up at ACH.
Yeah.
yeah, I think as long as we, provide requisite notice to people, so nobody likes paying fees unnecessarily, but some people like getting the points on their card, so they'll take the fees. I mean, at the end of the day, like, whether we're passing through these charges, like, to all of our taxpayers, or having the individual ratepayers pay the fees, these costs are being absorbed by Superior taxpayers, one way or the other. It's just a question of like, are they being absorbed directly on a kind of, I guess, like equitable way by actually having it on the individual user account level versus just spread out against all of us.
So Jeff, I know we've kind of talked about giving as much advance notice as possible. So not quite yet understanding how long it would take you and your team to kind of pull this together. And billing cycles are typically once a month. So would 4 months, would 6 months?
Again, I don't know, not talking to the merchants, we had a conversation with Safe Bill on, hey, how's this gonna work? They said, hey, we can work with whatever merchant service you want to use and we'll connect it. So there's gonna be some of that working through to get it set up correctly. I know Shannon's working with the state on court and it's taken her quite a bit. I mean, she's probably close to 6 months in. I think we can do it a little bit faster, but again, I don't know, like even our credit card machines up here, we may have to update those so that we can find a way to do that. So I would think it's gonna take us, and again, we're starting the audit next week, so we'll be busy with that. But I think we can get something done. I would say maybe another discussion here at the next work session and then kind of take the next step of, hey, here's what we found. How do we want to handle this? Is kind of my thought.
Late summer, early fall-ish.
Correct. Which
Okay.
would probably be beneficial because then all of a sudden we're out of the high usage months.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden we can slowly implement it and give them time to where, hey, yeah, I'm using my credit card still, now I can change it before you get, your $100 bill is going to 200 on some of those. So
Okay.
that might work as well.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm in favor of moving forward with this as quickly as you can do it.
Okay.
And I think this is
Yeah.
a good policy adjustment that makes sense. So, I don't think it should come as much of a shock to people that,
It wouldn't hurt to throw something in the Superior,
Multiple times.
no, the magazine whose
Yeah.
name suddenly escapes
Hello,
me.
Superior.
Hello Superior. Yeah,
All of it, all of it, yes.
the
Facebook,
printed one.
printed, email.
I mean, even if it's as simple as, hey, this is coming, and
Yeah.
the fee will be determined, but this is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the alternatives, like if you don't want to pay
Yeah,
this,
correct.
you can choose not to by doing
Sure.
whatever.
And the great news is this will keep us from having to hike up water and sewer fees as much. 'Cause it's not offset as much.
all right.
Thank you.
Anything
Thank
else
you,
on this
Jeff.
one? Thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Jeff.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks for the recommendation, Finance Committee.
Yes.
Jeff? All right, up next is 1B, which is our Advisory Committee Handbook Council Update. Welcome, Michaela.
Okay, so the last time we updated the guidebook and did a training was in 2023. So since then, there's kind of been some issues. I've kind of been watching just committee dynamics, gathered feedback from committee members and staff members. Overarching, there's been some feedback kind of asking for some more clarity on expectations and additional clarity on process procedures. So there's been quite a few additional sections added to this version, the 2026 version update. I added in a section on kind of committee member effectiveness. This is an overarching section to just discuss expectations. I think this is an important section for committee members. We're finding that often they're biting off more than they can chew, and it kind of affects morale, it affects the committee dynamics, and I think if we can, help set those guidelines and expectations early, hopefully it kind of keeps people going at a steady pace. I mean, they're volunteers. You guys all know how much work it is to be on a committee. And so I think if we can keep them from biting off more than they can chew early, hopefully that helps keep everybody on committees and we won't have all these vacancies like we're struggling with right now. The next section is a best practices section, just kind of outlines processes for working with staff, suggestions of best practices with the chairs and vice chairs, just overarching elements to help ensure everyone's time is being used effectively and efficiently. The next section is a code of conduct. Just be good people, work together nicely, just kind of clarifying expectations as committee members are also community leaders. They're in the forefront of things, and so we just want them to be the best that they can be. We have another section outlining communications. This was one where we had a lot of hiccups. Committees want to get the information out. They want to get as much as they can. Our communications department is always already doing a ton. So we just kind of wanted to outline timelines, process procedures, just to manage expectations across the board there, as well as using social media, asking committee members not to represent themselves on behalf of the committees, and just kind of managing expectations there with communications. We also added in a section on programming and events. A lot of our committees are jumping in and offering committees and wanting to do events. So just clarifying timeline, processes, and procedures, again, so they're using their time efficiently and we can get as many people joining in on these programs and events as possible. And then the final big section that was an add was just clarifying a little more on, unfortunately, the removal process and guidelines. Not necessarily like how we're going to try and kick you off of a committee, but more from a protection standpoint. We had some committee members concerned about other committee members' behaviors and asking, if we have these concerns, what can we do? How do we approach this? just safeguard measures for making sure that we're maintaining safe, professional committee spaces for all these volunteers to operate. So I highlighted them in the draft that I provided you guys, yeah, because there's a lot there. Also, full disclosure, I am going to try and condense it. It's like 40-some pages now, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to try and get a little more bullet point action in there and get it a little more condensed. And then my plan is, once you guys are all on board with it, I'll go around and I'm going to try and do individual trainings with each committee, rather than trying to get everybody together for one big training session. So hopefully that saves some people time, it gets everybody in a room, and it's a little more comfortable atmosphere for people to ask questions and really kind of get a better understanding of all of this stuff.
Michaela, I think this is a tremendous amount of work. I think this is in a really, really good place. I love your idea of maybe trying to go through it one more time, streamline it a little bit more, but I was definitely hearing your voice as I was reading through this and thinking about this from my time on ACES, and I think this is going to be incredibly helpful, so well done. The question I had for you, and this is on one of your little yellow sticky notes, it's under the consecutive terms, page 11, top of page 11 says update after March 9 repealed.
Yeah, so what's coming forward Monday is to amend the ordinance for advisory committees to remove the term limits.
Okay.
So you know that.
Gotcha, okay. So it was a note to yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I like the way the consecutive term language has been adjusted, the italicized stuff. I think that makes a lot of sense in my mind, allowing that option, that we keep the option open if we think if the council deems it necessary. So I appreciate the flexibility.
And actually that section will come out because there won't be term limits at all.
All right.
Once you're
If
on,
approved.
yeah, if approved, you can be on forever.
That's why it's important to have the part about if you need to get off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The check and balance.
Yes, yes.
Does the planning commission do this training or do okay.
Yeah.
I think there are some folks who've forgotten about you are in the service of the community and
Voice of the community, representing
that's
the
where
people.
you need to stay.
Yeah.
I really like this. I think it's always good to try to clarify expectations and just the roles that we're all doing and that everybody has. And, we've got a lot of really dedicated volunteers who want to help. And it's just important to kind of define what lane everybody's going to be in, so we're not duplicating efforts or stepping on any toes. So I think that this is good, and I want to make sure that we're preserving the interest and energy that people have to volunteer, and people have given years and years and years, decades on some of our committees to this town, and that needs to be respected and rewarded and encouraged. But we've also had issues with attrition and people coming on and jumping off relatively quickly, and having issues with quorums and vacancies. And so hopefully this is a good step in the right direction. So you said you're going to be meeting with the individual committees and kind of going through what these updates are?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a 30-minute work session before each advisory committee meeting in April and present all of these updates, question and answers, kind of just make it as high level, but give everyone opportunities to ask where they're stuck and what problems.
And in those meetings, are we open to feedback and suggestions from the committees to make changes to this? And then is this going to be finalized now?
I was planning on having it final, but I could take final draft.
I guess my thinking is, if there's a good suggestion from any of the advisory committees that we're not necessarily anticipating or thinking of right now, like, I think it's always good to have a dialogue rather than just saying this is how it needs to be. I mean, chances are you're probably not going to get any suggestions that dramatically change this, but you might get a good idea here and there that might be worth entertaining. So are we planning on having this on a council meeting for like a formal adoption, or is it informal staff directed?
We haven't taken it before the previous boards or council, but we can.
I mean, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be. I guess my only request would just to keep it open for any suggestions from the advisory committees themselves.
Definitely. And I think it's going to be more, my hope is it'll be more of a living document now. It'll be online. We're not going to print it anymore. So I think it'll be easier to update, once a year, quarterly if need be, if there are some major feedback and issues that need to be addressed. It'll be easier to do so.
Okay. And the removal section. So there's provisions in the town code for removal of council members.
But also
And for advisory committee members?
Establishing ordinance for advisory committees. It's in there.
So we just need to make sure that whatever this is consistent with what's in the ordinance, and if the ordinance needs to change.
So we're keeping the overarching ordinance and then just adding a little clarification, a little extra kind of a 3 strikes you're out policy in there as well. Just to kind of give staff and other committee members a little more room for influencing and protecting themselves. So we've had some incidences where committee members felt threatened or felt like other committee members were speaking inappropriately. And so we want to give them kind of a path for suggesting the removal of committee members as well. Rather where the code, I think it speaks so formally, it's hard for committee members to understand where they fit into that. So
I'm fine with what's in the draft right now. I would just say, like, let's send it to just town council to make sure that it's consistent with whatever's in the code.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
Nick
fine with it being.
briefly looked over it, but then he'll take another deeper dive.
Because we just don't want to have a situation where somebody gets removed from an advisory committee and then says, well, like, the code says this and this says that, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, definitely.
It may be worth it, because in 2 committees that I've been in, people had to resign because of term limits that they didn't really want to, but they had to. It may be worth an outreach to those folks, maybe through the committees, if they have people who weren't serving that they would want to come back that had to leave. Just there's a pool of people already there that might be interested in filling some of the vacancies, if they want them. That, like, just a note to the committees if they want to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I like the comment of keeping this living as you talk to the committees. That I think every committee I've served on has had some sort of conflict where a member in the committee member code of conduct, it's a little vague. Like, as a committee member, sometimes I have a contact and I go talk to that contact, and we've created issues with staff because of the who is talking to whom, representing whom. And it's not explicit in here, nor should it be. I like the way that it's phrased, but I think as you talk to the committees, some of this may come back where a committee member reached out to Boulder County Open Space, but was a little unclear as far as who they were representing. And I think this helps clarify some of that, but sometimes the committee members have the contacts and staff members don't. And trying to create that relationship has always been awkward every time I've seen it. So whatever feedback the committee members can provide you and how to sort of paper that, fun. But I swear, every single committee, there's always somebody who knows somebody. And that creates a weird situation.
I think at least in the email communication world, I think the easiest way to deal with those situations is to make sure that you're copying the committee chair and the staff liaison, just so there's not like something going on in the background that other people aren't aware of, at a minimum. So there's just like, hey, I've got this relationship with this person. I'm a volunteer on this committee. copy it to this email are these people, and start the introduction that way. But, I mean, obviously harder to do when it's in person or on the phone, but. All right, well, thank you for this, and hopefully this
Good job.
helps the advisory committee process work even better than it already is. They serve a very valuable function for us, giving us recommendations, so appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we're moving right along onto item 1C, which is a discussion of potential affordable housing project at the RTD BRT site.
So about a month ago, I met with 2 staff members from the Housing Authority, and we talked about affordable housing just in general and projects, kite route that we have going on. And at the very end, the topic of this site came up again. The Housing Authority is still interested in this site, and they think it'd be a good project, but they don't want to move at all unless the town has any interest in moving forward with it. So just interested to hear the council's thoughts on it. And if this is maybe a project in the 5-year horizon or 10-year or more immediate.
Matt, one of the issues, I mean, there were many issues when we went through this in 2022, because, BRT got combined with Brixmore, and no one knew who was doing what, and they're very separate.
Right.
But the issue on the RTD side is it had to be rezoned before RTD would, like, do anything, which hugely problematic on everything else we do in the communities. We want to look at it and then decide we want to rezone
we
it.
want to be certain what we're
Right.
getting.
Right. Do you know if that's changed at all?
It didn't come up in our conversation.
Okay. Because it's separate, because Boulder County Housing isn't worried about what RTD needs.
Right.
I don't know if anything's changed on the RTD side. It hasn't.
I hadn't heard. Yeah. Now with the bills going through the state.
There's like 12 different bills attacking RTD
I
right
mean,
now, so.
we don't know what might come forward and whether we have any say in it.
It's a good question to ask the candidates running for RTD.
Can you remind us how big was that proposal that they were looking at previously?
It was,
It's like 300
250?
units, 250, 300 units.
yeah, and it was, there's two buildings, 2 phases, and there were 3 to 4 stories with parking.
Yeah.
Because that was RTD's biggest concern was losing parking. They don't want to lose any of their parking. So
Right.
structured parking was part of the project. And I can send around to the council the previous concepts that they submitted.
So personally,
That's a good
I,
idea, because some of the people weren't on the council then.
Right.
That's probably a good start.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
this is Renee. Hi, Council. Sorry. I just wanted to jump in really quick. I think Martin put up the previous proposal on the screen if you want to look at it.
Boy,
Thanks, Jeanette.
freaked everybody out.
So you see the 2 phases. This is Chuck E. Cheese down here in the bottom right corner.
yeah.
That's when I learned we had a Chuck E. Cheese.
It's-
I didn't, I was like, no way. They're still around?
You see ground level was parking, and then they had 3 stories of residential above that.
How many square feet is the footprint at?
How many acres?
No, what's the square footage?
Oh, of the building?
Just the footprint, just.
Yeah. Let's see. 62. Yeah.
No, it's gross residential, just for example, just pretend the first floor, give me an outline, do you have any idea what that is for each one?
Just do 64 divided by 3.
Divided by,
I mean, it's like 22.
I can get that for you, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, each one's 22 because the other one's 94 divided by 4, so.
Yeah, but then there's parking also, right?
On the ground level.
On the ground, so it's probably 30,000 total, right? Like per floor?
It's a big building.
Yeah.
21.4.
Jeez, that scales massively.
Yeah, and I mean, just my recollection is we just didn't get very far in the conversation with them because of the whole need to rezone first.
Right.
There was another
Fire.
applicant.
And the fire.
And, yeah,
Yeah.
The fire was.
and Brixmor
Fire.
contaminated the entire conversation because they just said, we're doing this, no retail, this is it, and nothing else. And the two projects were actually not connected, but they got connected because Brixmor wanted them to be
They
connected.
were trying to make that their affordable housing
Right.
component to their
Right.
project.
Well, we're not doing affordable housing, but those guys over there are doing
Right.
it. So, the board obviously had no appetite, notwithstanding the Marshall Fire, but for the Brixmor issue, because I feel like we could have had a deeper conversation with Boulder County Housing Authority and RTD about this, we just never got there. And then we couldn't get past the rezoning question
Yeah.
first.
And I think if they were to ever move forward, it would be on their own.
Yeah.
Brixmor would not be involved
Yeah.
next time. So.
Remind me, there was a parking garage as part of this, right, for RTD, or what was happening to the parking?
For the site? Yeah, the ground level would be the parking.
So they wouldn't lose theirs.
Okay.
Well, they'd have parking, I guess, it would be wrapped on 3 levels. But the ground level would be spaces dedicated to RTD customers.
Yeah, the proposal didn't remove any of the RTD parking spaces, but it added the parking spaces required for the residential piece.
And does that residential piece include at least one space per unit? Or what's the-
It didn't, they'd done a study for affordable housing purposes, and like BCHA has a standard that they apply kind of throughout their municipalities, depending on the location, but like, they had a proposal, I forget what it was like, if it was less than one, I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Like half. I remember it being half. And the RTD was the reasoning behind why that was okay in that specific location. Assuming some people would not have 2 cars or.
And this would
Out in
be,
the San Francisco Bay Area where BART is kind of running along between San Jose and Oakland, there's BART stops and they're doing massive work to bring residential to those BART stops, and they're doing exactly this. So it's ground floor parking for BART customers and 3, 4, 5, 6 stories of residential above, and they are literally from here to Matt's office to the BART station.
No, this is actually happening along I-25 right now.
But it's
Yeah,
BART.
Yeah.
I mean, along the E line and the H line, the R line, this is happening at all the stops. Like Bellevue has like 5 residential towers right next to the stop now. And they're all 50-story tall, or maybe not 50, like 30-story tall buildings, right? Just the luxury of being able to build right next to a transit stop is enormous. Like it's great.
I mean, you know more about the RTD stops than I do. I know down south there's a lot more options with like light rail and everything else. Is it realistic to expect that not a lot of these units are going to use a car?
That was part of we didn't have a deep conversation, but the concern was, the half car per unit is not going to be enough.
Okay.
Because this is a car-centric area. Like, when you live in Boulder County, you want to go to the open space, and there's no way to get there if you don't have a car.
Yeah.
The car share is nice, but you don't want to park it in a trailhead and get billed for 5 hours of going up and down Sanitas. So, yes, it's a very good question, and I don't know that we have an answer to that.
Because like for me, I think it's a little unrealistic. I can't imagine a ton of these people are going to not have a car. I mean, ideally, that's what we want, but I don't think it's realistic.
yeah,
They won't.
and they would have that information. They've done a number of these projects, so they have a good idea of what their residents need as far as parking spaces go.
In similar areas that are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we learned anything about what the CU housing proposal is, like across,
Cinnabar.
over at the Cinnabar?
Graduate family
Like,
housing.
I think it's family.
Is it
Yeah.
happening, like, is it,
They own it.
are they
They
building
haven't
it?
brought
Like,
anything
That
forward.
was
they haven't, like,
Yeah.
they don't have approved plans or anything
No
like that?
plans. Nothing's been
Yeah.
rezoned.
That might be a good
yet,
question
so.
for that dinner.
I know they've had a couple of open houses with residents and there's people, but.
Because, I mean, for student housing, that's what
Yeah.
that plan is for. I mean, I could see this being a pretty attractive site for kids that are going to CU. Just walk on the bridge and take the bus into Boulder, and then
Yeah.
bus drops you back off on this side of 36. So it could be a lot cheaper than living in Boulder. And in those situations, I could see those residents being without a car, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like student housing, like a lot of people go to college and they don't have a car, right? So, I mean, I think it could work, and it's actually, I think, an interesting proposal because of what CU has planned across the street, because there's just a shortage of student housing around, so.
$60 a month to park on campus, which is a lot of money
Yeah.
for students.
Yeah.
Boulder County Housing up in Louisville has the Kestrel complex, right? And it's a very low park ratio. And
Yeah.
a handful of us toured that facility
Yeah.
before BCH brought this thing forward, in conjunction with the fire. But I think BCH has done a great job with that facility. As part of this, if we go forward, I recommend anybody, just BCH to organize a tour, because it's a fantastic facility for affordable. And,
Lafayette too.
yeah.
Like both housing places.
I think BCH has done a good job of running these facilities. I think they could do well here, which is why I wanted this on the agenda, because I'm interested to start having this conversation again.
Yeah.
I think it's the right time. Marshall Fire is behind us. Brixmore will do something separately on their own. And, we got to figure out the RTD zoning piece of it somehow, because I'm personally not in favor of rezoning it without actually having a PD that we're ready to accept.
Great.
And we can reach out to them.
You just have to start
And
that.
if we're going to advance our comp plan, I mean, this is.
Yeah,
that
that absolutely. I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I was in favor of having this discussion and exploring this back when we started these conversations, and then the fire hit. And my only objection to this concept at that point in time, I mean, I want to understand what the traffic impact's going to be, on anything that's going to be going into the marketplace area that's going to impact Sagamore in original time. Just need to understand how the volume of traffic works on the roads for just day-to-day purposes, and then also for evacuation purposes. But my concern back in 2022 is just it was the wrong time to have the discussion when we had so many of our residents that were displaced from the fire. But now that they're back, I think this is the appropriate time to restart the conversations. And I mean, times have changed, right? Like, we know what life is like now post-pandemic a little better than we did immediately after the pandemic, when everybody was working from home and nobody was riding RTD. Like, now ridership has come back to some degree, but certainly not to pre-pandemic levels. So the question is really what does a transit-oriented development actually look like that's going to be successful in the post-pandemic era? But I think having this conversation with them makes sense, and I'm in favor of moving forward with that.
And the work that Brandon's going to be doing on Marshall Road later this year to make that more plastic,
More efficient. More efficient,
Yeah, that's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for, thank you. So, yeah.
Also, just for everybody's edification, I had a meeting with Chief Valdez last week, and Mike Burns, very serendipitously, emailed me the day before that meeting and suggested putting a cut through from right around Costco and 76 straight into 36 is just an emergency exit. So I brought that up with Chief Valdez. He said they're actually looking at something like that, kind of over, bless you, by the lanterns. And he said that he would ask CDOT about putting one here, but he thought that was a great idea to have more emergency exits.
Oh, yeah.
So in the event of emergency, just
Absolutely.
in case that does get approved, which would be great, that would be another direct way to get out to the highway for this area.
Could really help this
Yeah.
various concept.
Yeah.
It'd be great. And if you haven't met with Chief Valdez, I would encourage you to reach out to him. He's a good guy. So.
Yeah.
Matt, when we had talked about this post-fire, the Element site has still not had any progress. Is that something that BCH could potentially be interested in? Like, I don't know how the economics work, because,
Yeah.
it's privately held, and
And require the town to rezone it
Yeah.
as well, but it's potentially a site. I think Renee's staff had a concept plan for urgent care facility there, but we'd have to reason for that too. So. But yeah, it's a possibility.
I mean, because notwithstanding possible emergency access to 36, if you put this sort of housing on the other side of Marshall, you sort of alleviate some of the bottleneck that you have. So.
Well, I think in light of what we're hearing from the school district right now, in terms of enrollment as well, like we need to be realistic, and we can't as a community have like a NIMBY attitude that says like, hey, we don't want our schools to close, but at the same time we're going to say no to any additional housing units because we're already here, right? Like, because then schools will close and we'll just have a community of empty nesters that don't have kids living here because they can't afford to live here. So I think we need to be open to it. And it's great that we're going to be doing a ribbon cutting and groundbreaking for Kite Route Crossing, but that's a senior specific affordable housing project, and that doesn't help. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it
some of
does
them will leave,
indirectly.
and move there from houses, but
Yeah, we
really?
signed on to the county pledge of getting 12%.
Yep.
And we're not going to get to 12% with Kite Route Crossing. Exclusively.
Seven of those.
just anecdotally, real estate trending is families that I'm working with in Superior are not looking anywhere over on the south side of Colton. Either the houses are too small or they're too big. And so they're looking at some of the, like, not even downtown Superior as much, because the price point is just really high. But the families coming in that are moving from other places with small children are looking in Andrew, Bristol, like they're kind of in Sagamore, but even that's not the way, they're higher priced. And so the dynamics have changed a lot. So I'm wondering when seniors do move out of those houses, those like 4,000 or 5,000 square foot houses, like who's moving in those? Because the young families that's not trending right now. This is good.
All right, so we'll reach out to Boulder County Housing Authority and restart the conversation.
Reach out to RTA, get some answers from them, and then give you an update.
And then separately, let's, when we get the joint meeting with Louisville scheduled, I think having a kind of comprehensive discussion that also includes what the plans are with the CU housing across the street.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Is, because it's kind of like it's separated by a highway, but it's connected by a bridge. So it's
Two bridges.
Yeah, so it's a.
Yeah, we want them all to come Whole Foods.
And I'm sure they're going to want us to go over to their new King Supers.
That's true.
So
King Supers is the gas station.
Gondola.
2 gas stations.
exactly.
The one in front of it.
We can do a
We'll
monorail.
find somewhere to put it.
No,
Like
King
Seattle
Supers.
has
I know,
a
I would
little
guess there's
monorail that
two
goes
There-
like
yes,
here
yes,
and
yes.
back.
Well, and
Here.
Louisville passed a rule for getting new gas stations, and they've added more in the last 5 years.
That's funny, the
They've
OO
had 3 in the
monorail.
last 4
Oh,
years.
yes, baby.
The mon-OO rail.
We don't want it. Guess we have 3.
All right, anything further on this one?
No, thank you.
All right.
That was good.
All right. Our last agenda item is a discussion of wood carvings along the path event, and if it's feasible to do the Mural Fest next year, which is my favorite agenda item that I've seen.
Steffi, do you want to give an introduction on this? Or, I mean, you received a recommendation from OSAC earlier today. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so when we got the resident email, I was just curious because I thought, and not for this year, so I want to clarify that this was not for this year by any stretch of the imagination, because I know you guys would be stretched thin for this year. But I was just curious about the feasibility of doing it. Since seeing OSAC's feedback, I want to be very cognizant of that too. So I don't know as much about, I obviously don't want to create a situation where we've got people going off trail and into potentially dangerous situations at the worst, and at the least, trampling vegetation and wildlife and the whole thing. So I wanted to understand a little bit more about that, and then curious about, they didn't want loss of habitat, which I would 100% agree with. I wasn't sure with the wood carvings, if it's just around the base where there's a carving into the base, but the top of the tree is still available for habitat, or if that gets cut off and they basically just use the stump, which would be great. And I don't know if you have the answers to this or not, so if you don't, it's totally fine. But that's kind of what my thought process was.
And I think that's part of it, is it's a type of event we don't know nothing about, and we'll have to do a little bit of research just to see what kind of trees are safe to use, or do people typically, just use a stump that's taken off site and then it's maybe reinstalled. A lot of our trees that are failing and turning into tree stumps along the way are fire damaged. So then again, does that introduce some kind of a safety component as well? So there's just a lot of questions we don't have the answers to. We'd have to do some research, and I think the right way to do it would be to, plan that out, see if this is an event the town wants to do, is CAPS behind it? Does it fold into the mural festival well, or is it separate? What makes sense there? So answer some of those questions. I'm not aware of a community that's done this. I'm sure there probably is, so we just need to do a little research.
I'll just say that at this month's OSAC meeting, there was a pretty lengthy conversation about this, and OSAC was pretty vocal in not supporting this for a whole variety of reasons, some of which you've already articulated. Others, some of these dead trees could be habitat for owls and other raptors and things like that, and so OSAC would be really concerned about potentially losing raptor habitat along these riparian corridors. So, being the liaison, I kind of on supporting OSAC right now, and I just don't think this is maybe the right place and the right time for this kind of thing. That'd be my 2 cents.
The squirrel's got to live somewhere.
It could be a custom.
So where did this come from?
There was a resident email that was pretty lengthy with some ideas around the carving, and I know I haven't seen them in a tree. I did see, I think Chavez was talking about taking his stump and making it a buffalo, and I don't know if that ever happened. I don't think it did. But that's where I was curious if it leaves the tree and the carving is like in the base, but the tree is still there for habitat, or if you like chop the tree down and the stump is then, which wouldn't be great. So I don't know. There was a lot of enthusiasm around it, so I just was curious if that could be a thing or if that's not of interest.
I've seen some pretty amazing, chainsaw art, and people commission that, I know, for themselves, and I've seen businesses do that as well. It can be pretty fabulous. Just trying to produce it in a safe environment for everybody and where everybody can enjoy it, and we'll probably have to estimate some kind of a price tag to go on the event and propose that for a future budget year.
I think CAPS was interested in the idea. I don't know how supportive of the combined mural festival plus chainsaw carving. I think they're really looking for that mural festival to be a standalone festival, and they're hoping, it'll take traction and be a yearly thing. And that mural festival the location will be based off of where they're able to get walls. So that might move locations, from year to year as well. And the price tag that goes along with that, you add chainsaws in with it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it done, but usually what they do is they bring in the stumps into a parking lot, like when they do ice sculptures.
Yeah.
And it's the attraction and it's the entertainment of it, less done so down in the creek within a tree. It's more the entertainment value, and then they take them and put them in the community, which could be a smaller thing within itself.
Could be part of an existing Oktoberfest or 4th of July or
Chili Beer Fest.
Yeah.
Chili Beer Fest,
Chili Beer
or,
Fest and chainsaws.
something where
What could go
Why
wrong?
not? Go wrong.
it could be like the Prairie Dogs. Scatter them out.
I mean, from a budget standpoint, if it's going to add a lot, and looking at the Mural Fest and making that bigger, better, I think we get more bang for our buck with the Mural Fest, and it drives more traffic to businesses. So if it's between, because I know it's not an endless bucket of money, and so that would be my 2 cents. But, and because I don't know about whether or not you can carve it into a tree without destroying the tree, it might be a little sketchy to
It
make
would
that
have a
go down
negative
and-
impact over time.
Yeah.
I would imagine they couldn't use chainsaw. It'd have to be like tree carving, like with tools, not like a machine that vibrates the entire tree for consistence. I mean, that could be an option.
I just want to talk about it because the resident was very enthusiastic about it. So, but if it's not something that's feasible or it's going to be really expensive or it's going to be daunting, then OSAC is obviously not super psyched about it.
Well, they're not psyched about people going into cutting existing trees, but as Michaela described, if it's a festival where we're getting logs from the Gross Reservoir,
Yeah.
thinning, and it's a log deck somewhere, and then you have artists come in and create the art out of the existing log deck rather than cutting existing trees, that could be something that others might say, yeah, it sounds like a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, we had that group of, I forget their name, but they were cutting the trees down.
Team Rubicon.
Rubicon. So, I mean, to the extent that we're doing work like that, and if there's trees that need to come down for safety reasons, and, you know, rather than hauling that away and getting them, you know, chipped, those things could be saved and repurposed for the use of the artists. I mean, that would be great, but I don't think that we necessarily need to kind of proactively work to make this happen, but if we had the opportunity to save like a massive, you know, cottonwood stump that, you know, otherwise would just be lost.
I think we have one out back that got burned a little bit.
That would be a really cool repurposing and put it somewhere like near the memorial or, that would be really cool.
Middle of the bike park.
Keep them in the community and, you know, repurpose them.
I think it's too small. I think for us, give each of us a chainsaw. How much money can we draw in?
To see who does.
See who does what.
I like that as a
People-
fundraiser.
Take away duct tape.
People can bet on us.
We're betting on who's gonna,
I love that idea.
I like that, that's
Sounds
good.
good.
Yes.
Good.
Well, there was a proposal a couple years ago to
Tiny
turn Town
microwave.
15 to like an archery range and an axe
That's
throwing.
right.
So maybe we
It's the target.
add some chainsaws.
You have to build a big berm though, and that's gonna block views.
All right, well, so I guess we're gonna table this
Yeah.
for things in the future. We're not gonna proactively budget for Access 2027.
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're giving
Just so we're all on the
appropriate
same
guidance
page.
here. Okay.
And just to that point, Mark, if there were a community of artists that approached the town and said, this is something we'd like to do and we want to bring in our materials and could we fold it into an existing event, let's have that conversation. But I think the town initiating this type of thing, it feels like it's out of our wheelhouse to me.
I'll just also say for the record that I am opposed to cutting down any really big, tall trees, even if they are dead. Like, I'd rather leave them standing. And I know that we had a lot of people that were upset when all the cottonwoods were taken out over what's now Superior Commons Park. Just in one day, they were just gone. And that was one of the discussions that we had with the Mile High Flood Project and the bridge that was eventually installed across Coal Creek there. Was, let's make sure we're not taking out any of these.
Well, the same thing
massive
happened with Autry
cottonwoods.
Park. You know, those trees came down almost overnight too.
Yeah.
Again, flood district, you know, they just sort of do their thing.
Yeah.
So let's avoid taking down trees if we can. All right.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've moved on to our other topic on the agenda. Does anybody have another?
I don't have a topic. When Jeff was here, I should have asked a question. Now that we got a year under our belt with home rule, have we done or been able to audit the state's tax receipts? Do we know, you know? for anything
It wouldn't
of this
be, we'd work with the state, of course, but it would be hiring our own firm to go and audit whichever businesses we chose.
sort? Okay.
Because we can request that through the state, but they, I think, may allow 2 a year for
Can we build
any
that
one city
to the audit process?
for them to do the audit process, but if we want to hire our own firm, we can do that now.
Okay.
We're on call.
Can any of that be built into the audit that's happening or gonna happen?
Like capture some of the fees recovered or?
Well, if they're gonna do the audit work, can another part of that contract be to audit a couple businesses for that specifically?
Oh, the firm that's
Like
doing our
add-on?
audits.
Or is that
actually,
like,
yeah.
do they
I
like
don't
to
know, we
keep
can have a
those
conversation
separate?
with them, yeah. I mean, probably keep them separate, but they might be able to do the work as well.
Seems like an add-on that could maybe happen in the audit process.
Yeah, I'll have that conversation with them
I
this
don't
week.
know how that stuff works, but.
How would we go about selecting which businesses? Is it random sampling, or does Jeff have
Stands
an
to
inkling
benefit
that
the
there might be
most.
some malfeasance going on?
Is there data?
Yeah, I'm not sure
Okay.
how he would go about.
The lucky one.
He would have conversations with the firm he hired, and they'd probably have recommendations based on their previous audits. Okay. But, yeah, all right.
I'd like to be careful. that-
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize, I thought this was entirely a state effort, that we would just go look at the books at the state. Going and looking
Yeah.
at businesses' books, you know, to double check that the state did it, I don't want to go anywhere near that. Like, that's just,
Really?
like, the state's doing it, you know, and they have their own legislative arm, and they can go investigate, and maybe tell them, hey, why don't you go do your job?
And we do work with the state. If we see something month to month that just doesn't look right, like a business seems to be collecting too much sales tax, we'll work with the state to figure out if maybe they paid it twice for that month, or we've had that happen in the past, so.
Because the way that the home rule thing was sort of pitched a few years ago is that the state collects all the money, and now we can go look at the state's books.
Yeah, I thought that was.
There was nothing about going and double checking that Superior Liquor is sending the right money to the right places, and we're going to double check the numbers, because that to me is a very different scope.
Yeah.
I think I would be more directionally in favor of auditing maybe some large online retailers, given that we've got zip code overlap between us and Louisville. I'd rather kind of check there first to see if, you know, all of a sudden, like all the, you know, Walmart online or Amazon online sales tax payments are getting sent to Louisville instead of going to Superior
Yeah, some
before we go to
sites
any
won't
brick and mortars.
Like some of the sites won't let you put Superior.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just give, I'm like, okay, fine.
And what we've heard from the state is that, oh, don't worry about it because it's like tied to some sort of like GIS system and geolocated based on where you live, and yet like it's still,
It says
it says Louisville and you can't change it. So I'd be open to figuring out
Yeah.
if that would be something that we want
That
to,
makes
because that's not something like,
It's not a brick and mortar.
Yeah, right.
people are still going to be going to those online vendors regardless of what we do in that regard, but we don't want to like anger a business that's located here. But, just a thought.
Okay.
All right, any others?
No, downtown looks really good though. Main Street with all the little shops starting to pop up. Clothing store. And there's a whole bunch of stuff
It's
down there.
gonna be a good.
Yeah.
Here we got first responder health is
Yeah.
opening up on.
Yeah, thank you.
Barbecue Chicken finally got their LOI.
Yeah.
Now they got their lease.
Yeah.
They got the
Well, there's
copy
back
of
to
the
their
lease.
attorney, they're not, I talked to Tim.
No, but they got a copy of the
Yeah.
lease. Yeah.
It's just good news.
And Megan's got the bookstore.
She's got an LOI.
Yeah.
Speakeasy.
I know there's some questions a couple years ago about how long and what or rather how late everybody's allowed to stay open. Menchie's open till 10, so on Fridays and Saturdays, so,
That's built into the lease.
yeah. Well, Carmel kind of feigned, you
Yeah.
know, whatever, but, you know, Menchie's open till 10.
Don't tell my kids that.
I think every kid with a car knows that, so,
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I think they still habitually go to Lafayette.
In Studio Pilates, Halcyon, and Wax in the City partnered to do like a promo, and that ended last week, but it seems like they got some good traction with that.
It's good.
Yay.
All right. Anything else? Shortest work session in history, so we're done at 7.
36 is me.
Good job.
Well done.
I didn't even get to do it.
Next week, we've got dinner with director.